All right, how you guys doing? This is Tobias from Noematic Elevation. I have another great guest for you today. This is former Major League Baseball star Bip Roberts, and he is just so you guys know who he is a little bit. He played for 12 years. He has a couple of records that are very, very great. He has the most consecutive hits record, and he also played for the All Star team in 1992. Um, he also retired right here in Northern California in Oakland. So that was kind of great to see that come back full circle for him. So I'm gonna go on ahead and turn it over to Bip and kind of let him talk about some of his baseball career, his amazing story of how he made it.
Well, thank you, Tobias. I appreciate that introduction. It's always overwhelming sometimes when I hear that you're talking about me. A lot of times we go through it and then we look back and go, how did I do that? But we know it's all by the grace of God. So we are just a part of what His will is, and we just continue to manifest and do what we're capable of doing through Him. When I look back now, I say, man, at 18 years old, I signed to play pro ball coming out of Oakland Skyline High School, and just not really knowing what the future held. I came out a little brash, a little cocky, because when you grow up in Oakland, that's just the mentality you have to have. So once I got in pro ball, I actually carried that mentality into the game because I didn't want to have anyone psych me out, so to speak, because I see someone that's pretty good doesn't mean that I'm not good. So I always kept that mentality. And as I worked my way through the minor leagues, I was able to, have some accomplishments, make an all-star team every level that I went to, from low A, high A, double A, things like that. And then fortunately, when I got to the big leagues, I was able to do the same. But it was a long grind. You always had to believe in yourself. And I think that was the major thing, is that through the good and through the bad, you had to stay humble through it. And then through the bad, you had to fight through it, because there was always guys coming from behind and different levels of the minor leagues wanting your job. So yeah, it was easier to get there, but it was really tough to stay. So it was all about a mindset. And then with that mindset, you were able to flourish, because once you accepted who you were and how you were, you played the way that you were capable of. And then that's, I believe, how guys are able to stay in the major leagues.
I want to ask you something because this I played baseball too, and I know how hard it is to do what you did. What type of zone were you in when you had the consecutive hits record, that streak?
Yeah, that was one where things were just happening. And it seemed like it was an outer body experience, because every ball I hit was just hit right on the button. And it didn't matter who I was facing. I didn't care about the name on the back of the jersey. I was just in a zone. I remember there were times I get to first base, and the first baseman would say something, but I had no idea what he was saying because I was in that zone. I think at that time it was run on ESPN, and they were talking about how guys got into certain zones, and they were featuring guys like Michael Jordan and other guys who had these games where they just were, on the court doing things that, I mean, they never thought that they could do. It was sort of subconscious as to what they were doing. It was surreal, because again, after I got to 9 hits, we flew from Cincinnati to LA. And so, you take that flight to LA. It's an earlier game because I was on a different time zone to get to LA, and now everything is 3 hours ahead. And I just remember going to the box, and the first two pitches were strikes, 0-2 count quickly, and the third pitch was right there on the black. And I remember Charlie Williams didn't call it a strike, and I was like, "Oh, I got lucky, because that was strike three, right?" And I was able to work the count, and then I was able to get a change up and hit it for a base hit, which was now 10 for 10. But earlier in that streak, I believe it was the second game of the streak, or the third game, I was 0 for 2, and then the rains came and it washed away that game. So that game didn't count. So I could go back to having the streak, and then I was able to keep that streak going. So it was just the luck of the draw. I always say God has a way of doing things that we just don't understand, and I just believe that was something that I was supposed to do, because had it not rained, I would have been maybe 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 0 for 4. Who knows what that game would have turned out? But at the beginning of the game, I was 0 for 2, but it was washed out, and then we got to play another day.
And then it's every kid's dream that plays baseball to make the All Star game, man. How did that feel playing in the All Star game?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, I was with San Diego the prior year, and then I was traded to Cincinnati. And at Cincinnati, I had a great year. And I remember Lou Pinella telling Bobby Cox, who was the manager of the Atlanta Braves, that I was his All Star that year. So Bobby took me. And fortunately, the game was back in San Diego. So you get traded from San Diego to Cincy, but the All Star game is in San Diego. You go back, and you just don't know what the reaction was going to be. And when you're on that line and they introduce your name, and people stood up and just gave me a standing ovation for a couple of minutes there. Where I mean, one of the teammates at All Star team, he hit me in the back of the head with his hat, like, "Come on, B, come on, man, let's keep this going, man." It wasn't me, man; it was the crowd. But I enjoyed that. It was a great feeling. I also got a couple hits in that game, and it was just a great experience.
Yes, yes. And before we on this channel, we talk about finances and credit and setting up trust and getting the financial awareness out of there. But before we get to that, I do have to tell you guys a little story of just how good of a dude this is. I went down there to meet him at a video shoot, and it was doing something for the community. He cooked the best chicken. I still use that recipe with the pressure cooker. He took us to the store and whipped us up some dinner. Hey, I got a recipe out of that. I want to let you know I never got a chance to thank you for that, man. That was some of the best chicken I ever had. And it was done quick.
Hey, you know how we do it, man. Sometimes we're on our own and we got to cook for ourselves. See, that was the thing. Before I signed, my mother said, before I let you go, I need to show you how to cook because you're going to be on your own a lot. You're going to have to cook for yourself because you can't eat in these restaurants. So we're going to show you. So my mother and her sister, they showed me their favorites and the things that they were expert at. And they just said, hey, listen, now you're ready to go because they weren't going to let me go until I knew how to take care of myself.
As all moms do. My mom did the same thing with us. Um, Now, a lot of you see a lot of this on the internet and everything with professional players having issues, with their finances. What would you say to younger players coming into the league about managing their finances over their career to prepare for sports? I mean, prepare for after sports activities, business, retirement. What would you suggest them to do coming into the league?
Well, I have a cousin. They call him Beast Mode, and he has this saying, "You got to take care of your chickens," right? And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good way to put it because every time you go out there, you perform, you get a check. That's your chicken hatching eggs, and so with that egg, you got to make that egg last. You got to have that egg never spoil on you, go bad." And I look at it like this now. When I got to the big leagues, I did the right thing by investing my money with a company that would invest it into stocks and bonds and things like that. And they were about keeping your money so that it would just grow on its own organically. So now each month, as it goes into what we would call a situation where now there's some funding attached to it, you can use that to actually pay your bills. And you would just do that, stay within a budget and not come outside that budget. And when people always have their hands out, you could have them call your financial people and they could say no for you. Because sometimes as athletes we have these hearts that, yeah, okay, you need that, man. I got you, man. I help you out, man. I help you out. And you look back and you didn't gave away so much money that each month is dwindling what the percentage of what you could have made. And then when you look at it at the end, you've lost a lot of money. Another thing I would say is make sure you keep your eyes on the prize. Whatever it is you have invested, you make sure that you see exactly where it's going, how it's working, and what it's providing for you. Because a lot of times athletes are, I would say, we're a little sometimes we're a little lenient when it comes to certain type of people, and we'll allow them to make the move for us. You may be married, you may have a significant other, and you let that person either pay the bills or look out for your numbers and tell you what you actually have. And pretty soon you don't know exactly what you have, but you have to always keep your eyes on the prize because in the end, if something happens, they're going to be the ones that skip and go to the left or to the right. Well, you got to be there to take the brunt of it because you didn't watch over your assets. So I would say just make sure you invest it, make sure you leave it alone. You almost want to forget it's there and just let it grow. And then in the end, you make sure that you know exactly what it's planned to do and you have the plan waiting for it so that it can maneuver into that. And now you said, okay, I'm fine for the rest of my life. But what happens is a lot of guys, they'll get married, they'll get divorced, the wife will take half. Um, at the wife will mess up the athlete's credit. There's a lot of things that could happen when situations happen, and one goes one way, one goes the other way. And when the athlete has not watched his finances, he will eventually end up either in bankruptcy, broke, or homeless because his career is over. There's no way to go out and make that money again. And so I always say that if you watch over everything from the time you get it, learn it. Because a lot of people don't understand finance. They don't understand percentages on this or percentages on that or being, with it withdrawn. They don't understand just a lot of terms when it comes to finances. And I think you just have to use the time that you have to learn it. You have to sit down with your financial advisors, have them explain it to you so that you fully understand it. And you have to ask questions on things that you don't understand. Because in my situation, I would say if you don't ask that question, you never get the answer. And no questions are bad questions if you don't know what you're talking about. So now, once you become educated on, you can ask the right questions. When you see numbers, you know exactly what they mean. And I just believe that a lot of guys allow their agent or their financial advisor to tell them what they have instead of them actually knowing what they have.
And that's a very important thing too. Like we have our team that we put together, and we sit down every 90 days, 6 months, and just go over everything. So everybody that's invested with us understands what's going on. And even like we do credit repair, and a lot of people aren't interested in, they just want you to do it. It's like, no, I'm trying to show you how you don't end up in this situation again. So I'm gonna fix your credit, but I want you to learn. And it's very hard to get people to sit down and learn, especially something new, especially with my age range and up. They don't have time. They're working, hustling, taking care of the kids, got a career. They don't have time. But I say everybody has at least an hour a week to sit down and study whatever it is you're doing. um, you also have some other things that you do in the community that I would like you to kind of go over, maybe, on the way out here. Just kind of talk about the things that you've done after baseball, because you've had an amazing career after that as well.
Well, I came back to my community in Oakland because something just drew me back here. I figure like, if I can go back to my community and just do some of the things that I need to do, I could help. And I came back. The first thing I did was coach the Skyline High School baseball team, just to get back into the community. Help some guys grow up and get to college, and just be around the guys and just make sure that I was helping them take the next step forward. I started coaching a Division II baseball team out of San Francisco, the Academy of Arts. It's helping a buddy of mine. Somebody asked him to develop a program. He asked me to help, so that's what we did. Another couple things that I've been doing lately is I've been working with Youth Sports Nation, which is a community developed program that helps kids from K through 12 as we go in and we teach things like love your parents, respect your elders, and get your education. So that's something that we go to every school, and we have assembly on that, and we try to enforce that in these kids, because a lot of these kids, they just free for all, and they just don't have no thought process when it comes to the elders and respecting their parents and getting their education. They just feel like whatever social media says, that's what I'm going to do. That's the thing to do. But we got to get out of that. And so that's what we teach. I have another program. It's called the Uncuffed Project. And that project works with those who are formerly incarcerated. We're in 36 prisons. And what we do is we make sure that each and every time an inmate gets out, whether it's male or female, we meet them at the gates. We pick them up. We give them a backpack, one full of food, one full of clothes, a cell phone, and then we give them gift cards. But we also give them transportation to their destination. We make sure that they get off to the right foot. And in this program, what happens is before you get out of prison, you get into our program. So now we start to groom you and program you to understand once you get out, we don't expect you to go back. And so out of the 1,300 and maybe 24 that have gotten out, nobody's gone back. And I think that's something we're very proud of. Our CEO, Damon Cook, was in there for 32 years. And he and I we struck up a relationship based on some other friends who were in there, but now we're out and we're out here doing the Uncuffed project, and they brought me in as the senior navigator. So what I do is I connect them to connections that are in the community that help us get grants and funding that we need in order to continue this program, whether it be donation of clothes, whether it be grants of money, or whether it be just to meet councilmen who can help us keep our program strong. So that's just one of the things I do. But the main thing that I do is that I'm really involved in the Well Church. I'm a member of that church. I'm an evangelist, and so I'm always involved in the church. As yesterday on Friday, we serve those who are needy of food in the outreach program, where we put bags of groceries into each car that drives up, and we allow them to, those are some of the things that I do. It's not everything that I do because I do television. I'm working up here on NBC doing TV, covering the Oakland A's and things like that. But I think what really is a motivator is the spirit of God. And God has really put me in a position to help those that are needy. I take no glory for it because I give him all the glory and all the praise. I'm just a vessel that's being used to help the community kind of bridge itself together. Because there's just a situation out there where you got the rich and you got the poor, and then there's no bridge in between. So I'm trying to be that bridge between the gaps and get those who are not on the rich side to make sure that those that are out there homeless and transition need things, they get what they need so that at least they have a warm plate of food and a roof over their head. Now, the rich people, they're going to continue to be able to do whatever they want because they have money. But I'm really getting into their minds and their spirits to make sure that they donate to those who don't have. So now we have that connection.
Man, that's awesome that you're doing that community work. And that's very important. I have a personal experience with, we had a called the OK program with Officer Norcross out here. And he had an after school program to keep us doing our homework so we were eligible to play sports. And that kept a lot of us out of trouble. We're all still friends to this day. And we go back and talk to the younger kids. And I'm actually trying to do an outreach program where we go to the prisons and talk to the prisoners and start getting their credit straight before they get out. So I do want to talk to you offline about that. And we're willing to donate our services for that. And that way, when they come out, they're on their feet. They can be able to qualify to get an apartment and all that good stuff. That's something that people skip over. And, depending on how long they've been in there, they don't have a credit file at all. Or, somebody while they were in there ran off and jack their credit up and they didn't know it, and then you find out when you get out and you don't have anything. So I was thinking about trying to put something together like that.
Oh, I tell you that is very much needed because that is one of the things when they get out, they don't know to go left or go to the right. Most of the guys that come out, they've been in there 25, 30, 40 years. So, life has changed per decade. Now they
Yeah.
get out and they put a phone in their hand and like, what is this? This is a computer, and now they see cars that don't run on gas. And it's just so many different things that have happened while they were in there that they were missing because they were locked up behind those walls. And credit is one of the main things that they definitely need to have on their side when they get out. And that's a situation that I went through. I went through a personal situation where in the end I was left with bad credit. I was left with debt and finances. I was left with situation where IRS was tracking me down for things I had no knowledge of. But, thanks to those who were understanding what credit is, how you get credit back, and having at least some investments that could take care of those financial hardships that were coming, I was able to overcome all that. And then when you give it to God, things start to happen because you allow Him to lead the way. And once He leads the way, no weapon form can work against you. You see, so I thought that in the end, those who left before to die, I think in the end they're going to say, "Wow, how did he overcome that?" And I'll give all the credit to God. But I say this to say that when guys go to prison, they're thrown away, and
Hmm.
people don't expect to see them back in society again, and then they turn their backs on them, and then when they get out, now they're saying, "Oh well, hey, you're on your own out here." And so when you come out and you have that credit and you have an uncut project behind you, now you have what you need as a foundation. And so most of those guys, we push them towards, finding God, find that spirit, find that spiritual foundation so that when you get out, you don't make the same mistakes. you can now look at a situation and discern it and say, "Oh, I'm not going that way. That's not for me." And your mind, your body, and your soul, and your ears will tell you, "I need to go left instead of going to this right." And so all the unseen and foreseen dangers that you thought were out there will be removed out of your pathway. So you just let God's will be done. But I just say, credit is everything in this world. And when those guys get out, they don't have it, and they need that. So we were welcome to have you guys on board with us when it comes to helping our guys get on the credit level where they need to be when they get out.
Yeah, well, definitely. We'll talk offline about that, man. I think that's awesome. That's the type of stuff that I'm trying to get my team into. Like my son, he's 19. I got him a trust. He has a 750 credit score, but he's in college. I can't get him to slow down a little bit and sit with pops for a minute and let me show you how to work it. So he's slowly coming on. We're going to be taking him around too. Just got to get him to slow down. Great kid, though. I'm proud of him. Um, I know you got to go, so I appreciate you showing up. Maybe we can powwow again when you have time. And definitely, I want to get in on the community work, man. We're not far from each other, so it's nothing but a drive.
Well, Tobias, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the opportunity to put me on your platform and be able to speak on some things that I have some experience with. So, I'm always here for you guys. Through whether it be social media, through telephone, through email, whatever it may be. I'm always acceptable to that and accessible as well. So just let me know what the plan is, what the deal is. We'll catch up with each other soon.
All right, man. We'll write it up. All right, that's Bip Roberts, everybody. I appreciate him coming out, and I hope you guys have a good day. And remember, all the products and stuff is in the description, and I'll try and get some of Bip's information about his community services that he's doing in case you're in the area and you want more information. We'll get that in the description for you as well. All right. See you, Bip. You have a good day, man. Peace out.